Yo guys, what's going on? I'm Tim Kelly. This is The Real Sports Talk. Thanks for tuning in. Follow me on Twitter at CashKelly_TRST, and then check out The Real Sports Talk at Facebook.com/TheRealSportsTalk. Also go and visit my website, section215.com. I used to say on this show all the time how much I hated the show First Take on ESPN2 every morning, how much I could not stand Skip Bayless, and how much he poisoned the minds of sports fans. And I still stick by the part of him poisoning the minds of sports fans. But man, it's just like he always gives me something to talk about, because this show always seems to have something controversial going on, and that's why people ultimately watch it, whether it's scripted, which we know it all is, or not. It doesn't really matter, because they end up saying something stupid, and that gives us in the media a chance to react to something else that happened at another media outlet, and that would be the biggest one of them all, ESPN. So Skip Bayless today had Richard Sherman on the show. Skip Bayless, Stephen A. Smith, and whoever is currently the host with them now. It's not Jay Crawford anymore. I forget who it is. I think her last name's Champion. But either way, they had Richard Sherman on the show, all-pro corner of the Seattle Seahawks. And Richard Sherman, for me, is a guy who was far and away the best corner in the National Football League last year. I don't think there was really anyone who was on the level of Richard Sherman last year. Now, Darrelle Revis, who I have been on record as saying when he's healthy is by far the best defensive player in the entire NFL, and you can even make a case for the best player overall, one of the most valuable players overall in the NFL. But he tore his ACL midway through the season, so he was gone. So in his absence, Richard Sherman was clearly, in my mind, the best corner in the NFL. What has happened, though, is Richard Sherman, he had the Adderall thing, managed to get through that, somehow not get suspended, because that caught a lot of NFL reporters off guard. And then he is cocky, and the entire Seahawks organization really rubs people the wrong way. You either love that team or you hate them. Personally, I'm an Eagles fan. You guys know that, but I really do enjoy watching the Seattle Seahawks. I love Marshawn Lynch. I love Russell Wilson. I just love everything about that team. I love the new uniforms. And Pete Carroll, I was never a fan of him at USC because I'm not a USC guy, but I like the energy that he does bring to that team, although I think eventually it may wear thin. I like the energy that he brings to that team and the excitement that he shows on the sideline. That might just be because I've watched Andy Reid Eagles football for so long and never seen emotion out of a coach, but it excites me when something good happens and the coach is there to back you and make everyone just feel better around it. That's a very good thing for team morale. I've always felt that, because from my experiences of playing sports, the thing that pisses me off the most is when I have a great game or make a great play and I walk off the field and the coach acts like nothing happened. That's always been something that pisses me off, and Pete Carroll's just never been that style. But because he's so over the top and in your face, a lot of people don't like him, and a lot of people feel in general that way about the Seahawks team. And getting back to Richard Sherman, throughout this entire offseason, he's called out Roddy White. That might actually have been late in the season. He called out Roddy White. The Seahawks did lose to the Falcons, barely, in playoffs in one of the craziest fourth quarters I've ever seen. And then he also called out Darrelle Revis, saying that his stats, or that this season that he just had looked like Darrelle Revis' career stats, which if you go to them, they kind of do. And it's just rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. Apparently Skip Bayless, again, I've been in school throughout all the shows of ESPN First Take, and I'm probably not going to watch it even when I'm not, but Skip Bayless has been very critical of the way that Richard Sherman has handled himself, and he's basically said that he has the ability to make a name for himself by his play, but instead he chooses to make a name for himself by being cocky, being over the top. And he had him on the show today, and essentially it wasn't much of an interview. It was Richard Sherman ignoring everything that he was asked and just firing away at Skip Bayless. The biggest things that he said were that, A, in his 24 years of life, he had accomplished more and was better at life than what Skip Bayless had done throughout his entire life. Couldn't agree more. and then he tells Skip Bayless that he can't back up his facts. Now, it all came off as stupid. If you want to come on and do an interview with someone, if you agree to come on and do an interview, then I think as an athlete you owe them the respect to do the interview their way. But essentially, Richard Sherman said when he said that Skip Bayless can never back up his facts and that he has nothing to prove, he's just saying stuff. He essentially said what everyone has said about Skip Bayless with Chad Ochocinco, T.O., LeBron James, anyone that he's Floyd Mayweather, anyone that he's ever been extremely critical of. He never really seems to have any great facts. It's more just opinion-based, that he dislikes them as a person, or he brings up one thing consistently, whether it's valid at that point or not. And Richard Sherman just came out there and blasted him. And I honestly, I think that if you don't like Skip Bayless, just don't do the interview. But I don't have any problem with the cockiness of Richard Sherman, because quite honestly, people don't understand when they say, oh, I can't stand him, he's so arrogant, I want a laid-back athlete. When you put in the amount of time, work, everything, you deserve that moment to gloat about yourself. I truly believe that when you put in that work and you produce at a high level, at an all-pro level like Richard Sherman did last year, then I really don't have any problem with you gloating, that you talking yourself up. Does it make you sound conceited to the world? Yes, but in a lot of ways as an athlete, you're playing a role. And it's almost like the WWE in a way, where you're almost an actor in addition to being an athlete, and that's what Richard Sherman is. He's overly cocky, but if he continues to be an all-pro on the field, then there's not a ton that I can say negative about him. If he doesn't continue to be an all-pro, and he struggles and just never is able to get back to his form, but continues to talk like this, then that's where I draw the line. But I think we really have a problem in sports with calling all these athletes and calling them out on being cocky. If you do that to me, you really don't understand how much they put in. It shows that you never played sports at a high level. That's truly how I feel, that you were never someone that put in hard enough work. Because I know at a high school level in sports, I work extremely hard, and I know that working at a pro level, to get to the level of being all pro, to be one of the best in the world, it's really unthinkable to us. But I understand that it's an unimaginable amount of work, lifting, running, everything that goes into it, and I don't look at Richard Sherman. I don't believe that the cockiness rubs me the wrong way, because he's earned it. He was all-pro this year, best corner in the NFL. He's earned it. It was the same thing when Usain Bolt, well, people would say, well, he races for 10 seconds, and then he celebrates for 2 hours, but he trains so hard, and especially in a sport like sprinting, where you're only on the spotlight once every 4 years, you need to take your moments to live up that moment and realize, this is why I put in that hard work, to get this great feeling. Because when you go back to train the next time, you need to remember how great that feeling felt, how great it felt to prop yourself up. And then ultimately, that's what motivates you the next time to continue working that hard. And that's why I'm not, I don't hold it against Richard Sherman that he's like that. I don't hold this interview against him. And I think he owns Skip Bayless, quite honestly. And that's pretty much all I have to say on this interview. I know a lot of people are overreacting to this and saying stuff about Richard Sherman. I just don't feel that way. Leave me your thoughts. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm usually not. But leave me your thoughts in the comment section below. I'll see you guys next time.